Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of New Haven. To those of you here in our sanctuary, as well as online via Zoom and YouTube. I am Rich Stockton, a member of the Worship Committee and your worship associate today. You can refer to me with the pronouns he and him. As always, we are deeply grateful for those that make our service happen. Our tech team, our music team, and our entire Sunday morning welcome team. We are a diverse, multi-generational faith community that inspires lives of compassion and generosity, nurtures spiritual growth, cultivates transformative connections, and creates a more just world. Some of us are bringing our best selves to this space, and some of us are bringing our struggling selves. But all of us are welcome here, and on every day, all of us are loved. I do read the announcements. They're in your service or in our newsletter. Just some very brief highlights. For families with younger folk in attendance, there is a space in the back, in that corner, with some quiet activities and comfortable seating, if that works for you. But please know that all ages are warmly welcomed to this and every service at USNH. If you are visiting today and want to learn more about USNH, there's a table in the far right corner of the social hall after the service where members of the Connections team will be available to answer your questions. There will be a quiet welcome space for newcomers in room 209 today after the service. And today, there's a soup lunch. The Sundays at 4 concert, that is also today. And thanks to all who put together the tag sale yesterday. Now, relax. Take a deep breath. Make sure electronic devices are silent, and let us settle into worship.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Stephen Kendrick, and it is my delight and honor to serve this congregation. It's an important day because we're going to be hearing for the first time from our new Ministerial Intern Jonathan Dean, and that's wonderful. That's a great transition for us. And we're also going to be marking, speaking of honor, dedication of our memorial patio just following the service before we troop in and have a little soup together. So it's a wonderful day, a gorgeous and beautiful day. I had a cataract operation this week, and so you all look better. You look great. You look fantastic. Brighter, much brighter. And it is just absolutely wonderful to be together on such a stunning day. There's an old poem that says, "What is the real good?" I asked. "Order," said the law court. "Knowledge," said the school. "Truth," said the philosopher. "Pleasure," said the fool. "Love," said the young. "Freedom," said the dreamer. "Home," said the sage. "Fame," said the schemer. "Equity," the seer. Spake my heart full sadly, the answer is not yet here. Then within my heart, quietly this I heard, each heart holds the secret. Kindness is the word. So whatever you gain by this hour, let the lesson you take home with you be that of the wisdom of kindness. And we have a relatively new tradition. where during the hymn, we invite you to come forward to offer, if you have a sorrow in your heart, a stone or a shell into the water. If you have a joy, then light one of the votive candles. We're going to be thinking about, in the discussion about playing this service, Jesse came up with the idea, which was brilliant, of hymn 170. We are a gentle, angry people. And we ask you that we substitute in our singing, as I ask you to rise, we are a rainbow of inclusion for the old phrase, we are gay and straight together. We want an even brighter and broader rainbow of inclusion. So please rise as you are willing and able for hymn 170. We are a gentle, angry people.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan. I go by the pronouns of he and them. Covenant lies at the center of how Unitarian Universalists gather in community. We are united not by a particular set of beliefs, but by the promises we make about how we will be together, how we will treat each other, and how we will seek to mend relationships when we fall short of our aspirations. Please join me now in reciting the words that appear in your order of service or in the chat on the live stream. We covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and engage in the spiritual and everyday practices of loving more generously, To this end, we strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy.
Well, good morning, my friends. I'm not sure about you, but when I was growing up, I was led to believe that there were certain dangers in this world that were, as I grew up, I found out were a little bit exaggerated. I grew up with the idea that there was a lot more danger of dying from snake bite than there actually possibly is. A lot more danger of getting attacked by a shark than there actually possibly is. In fact, I grew up thinking that the worst thing I would face in this world was teeth. Because of that, at a very early age, I educated myself about how to make anti-venom. I learned that you have to actually we've got the same process of making anti-venom ever since the 1880s. You harvest the venom from the venomous creature, you dilute it, you then inject a little bit of it into a creature that is naturally predisposed to creating antibodies against that venom, and then harvest a little bit of those antibodies and inject them into somebody who's been bitten by a snake or another venomous creature, and they will survive. Phew. When I lived in Costa Rica, I was surprised to learn that one of the biggest farms creating antibodies was right there in Costa Rica. And the animal that worked together with people to create those antibodies was horses. Horses have evolved right alongside snakes in many of the world's environments, and so they have the quickest ability of any animal to create antibodies against snake venom. So if any of you ever do get bitten by a snake and are transported to a hospital and get injected with anti-venom, it is actually just antibodies from a horse. Yet another thing that we need to be thankful to horses for. Now, I have found something different. While the danger from shark bite, snake bite, scorpion, etc., has been greatly, greatly exaggerated, the threat of venomous speech is far greater. So what can all of my childhood preparation for a snake bite, a venomous sting, still teach me in the world that I live in today? Well, perhaps the process of inoculating ourselves, of preparing ourselves, of healing ourselves from the venom that is out there in our everyday lives might be very, very similar. How do we live in a venomous world? Perhaps the lesson lies within the very creation of antivenom. Perhaps the way for us to approach this is when venomous speech comes our way, when venomous actions come our way, perhaps the way to approach it is first to dilute it. Make it not as strong. Expose ourselves to a little bit less of it at a time. Perhaps then we can look to the people who have shown us leadership in producing antibodies against this venom. The Malala Yousafzais, the Martin Luther Kings, the Gandhis, all of the leaders in this world who have lived and faced venom, who have been bitten directly and have figured out how to successfully manufacture their own antibodies against it. And perhaps we can figure out how to inject ourselves with some of those antibodies. Learn from their example, learn from the example of our loved ones and how they face the venom that actually is out there, and take it into ourselves and inoculate ourselves. Because pretending it's not there is not going to do anyone any good. In the same way that the horse that pretends the snake is not there is not going to do that horse any good. But if we can prepare ourselves, have that anti-venom ready, whatever it is for you individually, and be ready to give yourself an injection of it when you are faced with the venom of the world. Perhaps then we all can survive. Would you please join me in singing our children, any young people who are here, off to their classes, off to their next learning adventure, with words that are in your order of service and quite possibly in your heart. The first two verses of This Little Light of Mine, verse 1 and verse 2.
Shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I was thinking, if only horses could help us deal with this venomous rhetoric, then we could all together say nay. I just made that up. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope you're learning, Jonathan. This is important stuff. There's a lot of things we love here in this congregation. We love music. We love passion. We love food out there and tag sales. And I've discovered this congregation really loves poetry. And I'm going to suggest a poet you may not have heard of, but he's a giant of the last century, W.S. Merwin. And I discovered a poem of his sitting in my sunroom. It's called For the Love of October. And such a string of gorgeous, beautiful days that have been a gift. And let this poem and this meditation be a gift as well. I have been younger in October than in all the months of spring. Walnut and May leaves the color of shoulders at the end of summer. A month that has been to the mountain and become light there. The long grass lies pointing uphill for a reason that none of us knows. And the wren laughs in the early shade now. Come again, shining. Glance in your own good time. My love is for lightness of touch, foot, feather. The day is yet one more yellow leaf. And without turning, I kiss this light by an old well, gathering wild rose hips in the sun. It is precisely in this golden time of transition of October that we can learn this essential truth. but love is for lightness. Lightness of sight, of heart, of the uplift of courage and grace. Let us strive to be younger in October than all the months of spring. Let us share a time of silence together. And may this be so. And this is our time of offering. We're going to be passing the plate, and if you are not able to do that, please know that you can send some money into the church office, and you can give. There's a phone number in your order of service. But the main thing we need to say to you right now is thank you. Thank you for your generosity. We do not exist unless we are here for each other. Your offering and your presence.
Thank you, Ryan and Bill. Today's reading is called This Morning I Pray for My Enemies by Joy Harjo. And whom do I call my enemy? An enemy must be worthy of engagement. I turn in the direction of the sun and keep walking. It's the heart that asks the question, not my furious mind. The heart is the smaller cousin of the sun. It sees and knows everything. It hears the gnashing even as it hears the blessing. The door to the mind should only open from the heart. An enemy who gets in risks the danger of becoming a friend.
Let's see. There we go. I think I'm up. I think I'm up now. Yes, I am. The first hit you get when you Google wasps is how to get rid of them, how to extinguish them, how to exterminate them, and tips to get them away from you if a hornet or wasp is near your food. The second thing you get is how to treat yourself if you've been stung. I chose this sermon, Cozying Up to a Wasp's Nest, as a metaphor of our relationship of what we now call the other side. The thought of closeness and getting intimate with the other is as difficult as cozying up to a wasp's nest or dancing with a defensive porcupine. It takes finesse, and most of us, including me, until this point, never consider it. We live in extraordinary times. Our communities are divided, and it appears that not much is being done in leadership to change this course. As you know, our national leaders are actively calling for division and vilifying any group, any people that opposes their agenda. We have been called the enemy within, vermin that needs to be rooted out, and treasonous, to name just a few, which sets up this us versus them scenario. Well, the wasp nest is buzzing and aggressively reacting to those ridiculous comments. What they see is that we are there, the other. Authoritarian leadership knows this. The only way to maintain control is to create enemies. There needs to be an us and them. Without an enemy, the whole power structure falters. There are daily attacks that are being made on our institutions. People are getting ripped off of streets and being detained. Violence is escalating on groups that the other perceives as evil and in need of being rooted out. Violence is escalating at a rapid pace. The Human Rights Campaign has marked an increase of LGBTQIA plus crimes. This past week, we saw a Mormon church burned and Jewish people being stabbed to death as they were gathering to worship for Yom Kippur. The drone and threat of violence seems to never end. This drone of anger and attacks on our values that we hold dear as Unitarian Universalists, a plurality of faith, by embracing all people with love, daily, hourly, the drone and anxiety of hate and violence. When I hear this drone of hate and violence, I think back to my childhood, the feelings that this constant humming and vibration brings up a memory for me. I grew up in a small farming community in southeastern Connecticut. There was no diversity whatsoever in my town, other than if the milking cow was a Jersey or a Holstein. I was the middle child of 3 boys. We lived in lower middle class existence. Everyone was Christian or Catholic, with the exception of one Jewish family and one family who were Jehovah's Witnesses. There were no people of color in our town. I would be raised in the Congregationalist faith. My family lived in one of those developments of raised ranches and small houses, you know, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, if you know that song. That's where I grew up. It was a very homogeneous community. There was a family that lived next door. There were 2 boys. They were both a year apart. One was my age and the other a year younger. The older child was not to my liking. He played rough, and he was very territorial and would commonly start arguments. The younger child was very friendly, and we played well with each other. I liked to play with him. The eldest brother would frequently disrupt us to either punch his brother or push me around while we were quietly playing a board game or playing in a dirt pile with our action figures. He always disagreed with us and would never give up his dominant viewpoints. The rules had to fit to his agenda. The parents would have to intervene with us regularly to tell the other son to leave us be, so we could play peacefully. This aggression and dominance over me would carry on for years in my childhood. We went to the same school, and fortunately the school would separate us into different classes, but there was always the bus. The bus. The bus stop back then was where a bunch of us neighbors were dropped off, all at one site, economical and a great place for social engagement. But bus time was torture for me. The ride was always fueled with anxiety, as I never knew when he would be in attack mode. I was not a fighter, and I was much slighter than he was. The bus driver was an old-school, grumpy Vietnam vet who believed that boys will be boys, and they need to settle these things out amongst themselves. Well, one day we would be slowing to our stop, coming home from school. I'd walk down the stairs of the bus, and he jumped right on top of me. It was on. He wanted to fight, and he jumped right on top of me, and I gave it back to him. I finally had enough. I beat him so hard that he had a bloody nose and a black eye. He unleashed an anger in me that I've never felt before. The schoolmates on the bus cheered, as they too had been under his brutal prowess for years. The bus driver said, "Good for you, kid." And I ran home to my mother and burst into tears. My mother would wipe away my tears and say that she was proud of me for holding back for so long and trying all the things that we had talked together about peaceful solutions, as that was our family ethic. She knew that this was going to come at some point, and she was there to hold me. And my father came home, and he grinned while he told me that fighting is not the answer. He too was very proud that I'd finally unleashed, but the reign of terror had ended that day. Is this going to be our collective story? Do we need to fight? I'm a pacifist, and I hope this is not where we're headed. I tell this story of feelings of my childhood evoked are very much surfacing after these years of them being a memory. I feel sometimes on guard, or that at any moment I need to be on defense mode. It is a struggle in dealing with people who are who operate from a prescribed script without thinking or understanding the hate, anger, or fear from which they speak. The fear and hatred of other, the theying of peoples. I wonder if they sat down and got to know them, whether they would soften their hearts, or whether their internal narrative is so strong that each individual encounter would be impenetrable from the hard, cold shell in which they might be hiding. So I'm looking to exploring loving your enemy in a very skeptical and cautious way. It might not be consideration for all of us, as we are all in different spaces. We might not all be ready to push into peace when we are collectively being attacked. The exploration, though, is up for consideration and preparation, and for a time of resolution. There is always a time of resolution. I don't think that processing with a group is a salient solution at this time. The messaging from leadership is still engaging hate and violence for people who are other. I was on my way to Provincetown a month ago to meet some of my gay best friends. I would have to stop and get gas and get some water as I was thirsty. I got off the path, I got off the wrong exit, and I just kept on going down, and I found a gas station, and I ended up in the Wasp's nest. In floral shorts, pearls, and rhinestone-colored sunglasses. Good luck. I was looking as gay as a man could possibly look, and I landed myself in this gas station. I walked into this convenience store, which was decorated with political flags of the other. The attendant and his two friends, all dressed in camouflage, gave me the once-over, and I quickly grabbed my water and made myself very scarce very quickly. Fear had taken over. I was in the place where I was not welcomed. By the looks of these young men and the signage that was prevalent throughout the store, I was certainly not going to engage in peace talks that day. So I pondered, how do we begin? Is there any way to address this angry other that is actively looking to engage in violence and hate? I'm a psychotherapist, and I've been in practice for 20 years. I do family and couples counseling. I apply my scientific mind to my clients' dysfunction and understanding how to proceed. When there is a member of a group or a family who is consistently engaged with refusing solutions and/or actively striking out, I separate the member from the group and work with them individually to help them be less aggressive and help them engage in more civil ways with their group or family. I set up boundaries and rules. I have my therapist lens on. It's pretty simple when I put my mind to it. Don't do group work until the group is ready. Collectively, we are not ready. The messaging is far too strong and embedded into the wasp's nests of others that we cannot engage at this level. At this time, we must work individually. There are individuals who may be embarrassed or looking for less fighting or looking for peacemaking. This is where we can start. Leave the wasp's nest alone. Protest? Yes. Go through legal and legislative means? Absolutely. But engaging this hive of hate will only exact a storm and swarm of destruction upon us. Focus on those who are considering peace, considering reconciliation. One person at a time, one step at a time to build the foundations of peace. Perhaps we can start with a neighbor whose children play with your kids or grandkids. Perhaps place a call to Uncle Joe, who enacts his political violence at the Thanksgiving table. Set up those boundaries instead of correcting their opinions. Get curious as to why they're afraid instead of why they're angry. Proceed with caution. If you're not ready, please don't engage and give yourself some grace. Perhaps starting to consider and practice here amongst ourselves is where we can start. I've spent a great deal of time considering the Unitarian Universalist tradition of leading from love. It is this tenet that brings and binds us as a pluralistic faith tradition together. We are to start from a place of love. I struggle with this when I hear the messaging coming from other. It brings me back to that fed-up time as a child where I eventually struck back. But I am older now. I hope a bit wiser. My brain has developed, I hope. And I operate from love. How does retribution and revenge balance with this love? It doesn't. We can and should do better. Don't get me wrong. If there is an act of wrong that is happening, you must respond in an appropriate manner. However, when the messaging is intended to get us angry and upset, when the provoking message is blazingly obvious, respond in love and joy. Mahatma Gandhi once said in a private letter to a friend, "It is no nonviolence if we merely love those that love us. It is nonviolence only when we love those who hate us." Martin Luther King echoed this in his sermon, Loving Your Enemies, delivered to the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in 1957. If you hate your enemies, you have no way to redeem and transform your enemies. He furthers, there is something about love that builds up and is creative. There's something about hate that tears down and is destructive. Love your enemies. Their messages here is that leading from love will eventually break the cycle. They believed in combating injustice, not people, and breaking the chain reaction of hate. Perhaps we can learn and take from these great leaders in a shortage of leadership today, the skills they used to forge a nation and lasting social change. We must prepare and practice these skills together as we consider engaging with each other. People want to be part of the solution, and this might be a way we can start. However, we must also realize the messages of leadership has everything to do with further division. Our task is not simple, and we might be best to practice these skills of loving where and when it's appropriate. I still struggle. I am part of this group under attack. I know that there are families in our community here who are seen as other and under attack. Those of us who are not white, cisgendered, straight males are all under scrutiny. Let's face it, Unitarian Universalists are all under scrutiny. But we need to take space. We are part of this greater community and are just worthy of our space as anyone else. Let's take our space and place. In the song we'll be closing with today, this is my song, the verse speaks to this collective us. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. Wasps are an integral part of our diverse ecology of life here on Earth. When you see a nest, just let it be. They are part of the balance of nature and life. The wasp wishes us no harm unless provoked. When we are around a single wasp, perhaps throw a sweet treat to the ground for it to survive. The reality is we cannot cozy up to a wasp's nest. That's impossible. Lead from a space of love. It is our collective agreement and covenant together. It does not just apply to this space and our time together on Sunday mornings. This is where we practice it. This is where it's easy. Out in the real world, not so easy. I will continuously struggle and get caught up in the passion of reacting. I am human. I don't expect perfection from anyone, but as long as we try, we might give ourselves some space and grace to make mistakes in trying rather than attacking or doing nothing. May you be strong, may you be brave, and embrace the world with love and kindness. Thank you. Thank you. Rich, if you step forward as we extinguish the chalice. Let us say the passing of flame together. Carry forth this chalice flame, its illumination into our daily lives, its sustaining warmth into our relationships, the light of reason shining behind these walls. May we carry the fire of hope in our hearts this day and in the week to come. Now please join in singing 159, if you're willing and able, in our gray hymnal, This Is My Song. Go now in faithful commitment. Make strides towards compassion and wisdom, happiness and peace. Welcome the stranger. Open your heart to the world that is in need of healing. Be courageous and strong. Model goodwill to all and serve the needs of all people. Amen.
I know that some of us will probably be heading out and some of us will be preparing soup, but I dare say for many of us, we have been looking forward to the opportunity to march right up there, go immediately out to the left, for the dedication of about a 10-minute ceremony. I know that many of you have made contributions. I know that many of you know the names emblazoned upon those bricks, and this is a special moment for us. So, for those who wish to join us for the brief dedication ceremony, follow me. If we had a moral benediction,
Find something, 3 minutes or so.
yeah, no pressure.
It's really fun to play. Yeah.
You're not around.
Yeah.
I don't usually do it.
Yeah.
Just think about
Yeah. Do a brass guitar or something.
it. Oh man, that's the hardest night in the world to get a brass one.
Yeah, that's true.
Christmas Eve and Easter morning.
Trombone quartet.
That might actually be easier.
I really enjoyed your playing so much. It's beautiful. What color trombone is that?
That's a bass trombone. Yeah, it's 2 buttons.
Oh my god, it's really cool. You said it gorgeous.
Well, sure, thanks for coming in. I know it's not close.
Yeah. I'm good. I want to try and come back tonight, but I haven't done my grocery shopping. So I gotta go.
Tonight, what are we gonna try?
The Sundays at 4.
Oh, yeah, that's, okay. I got confused.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought tonight was one more damn thing. At 7:30 or something.
Yeah. Hope I can make it.